Family photos used to make me feel safe, not in a sentimental way, just grounded. Proof that no matter how messy things got, we belonged somewhere together. Holidays, birthdays, random Sundays, where no one was dressed well, but everyone was smiling anyway. That's what I thought I was preserving when I sent my mom the pictures. My name is Lauren Hale. I was 34, a freelance interior designer, married, raising my 6-year-old son, Evan, in what I genuinely believed was a complicated but loving family. We didn't see each other constantly, but we showed up for milestones. Or so I thought. It started with a casual comment. "Oh, we framed the beach photo you sent," my sister said one afternoon. "It looks so nice in the hallway." That made me smile. I pictured Evan squinting into the sun, his hair sticking up the way it always did when he'd been running around too long. A week later, we visited. The frame was there, same colors, same background, but Evan wasn't. At first, my brain refused to process it. I thought maybe I was misremembering. Maybe there were 2 versions. Maybe I'd sent the wrong file. Then I looked closer. The space where my son had been standing wasn't empty. It had been edited. The sky behind him was unnaturally smooth. The sand stretched too perfectly. Someone had taken the time to erase him, carefully, intentionally, and pretend he'd never been there. I laughed lightly, because that's what you do when something doesn't make sense yet. "Hey," I said, pointing, "what happened to Evan?" My sister didn't look at the photo. "Oh," she said, "we thought it looked cleaner this way." Cleaner. That was the word. And in that moment, standing in a house lined with memories my child had been removed from, I didn't feel angry yet. I felt something colder. Because that wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. I didn't confront anyone that day, not because I was afraid, but because I was trying to understand the logic. I told myself there had to be a reason that made sense if I just listened long enough. Later that night, I checked my mom's social media. The same photo was there, cropped, edited, Evan gone. Then another one, then another. Different days, different outfits, same absence. Every photo that included my son had been altered, not deleted, not replaced, rewritten. I scrolled until my thumb hurt, my chest tightening with each image. It wasn't one mistake. It wasn't one person. It was consistent, careful, almost coordinated. When I finally called my mom, I kept my voice light. "Hey," I said, "I noticed Evan isn't in any of the photos you posted." She paused. Too long. "Well," she said, "you know how the family is. They don't like questions." "Questions about what?" I asked. Another pause. "About his situation." My son's situation was that his biological father wasn't involved. That was it. No scandal, no chaos, just a child being raised by 2 parents who loved him. "We didn't want people to assume things," she continued. "It's not personal." I stared at the wall, my reflection faint in the dark screen of my laptop. "You erased my child," I said quietly. "We didn't erase him," she replied quickly. "We just adjusted the photos." Adjusted, as if my son were clutter, as if his presence made the picture less acceptable. Over the next few weeks, I noticed more things. Family albums brought out when we visited, Evan absent. Holiday slideshows at gatherings, him missing. A printed calendar my sister gifted my parents. 12 months of family, 0 trace of my child. No one mentioned it. They spoke about Evan kindly when he was physically present, smiled at him, bought him gifts. But when it came to recording his existence, they edited him out. That contradiction hurt more than outright rejection, because it meant they wanted access to him, without acknowledging him. One afternoon, Evan walked past me while I was scrolling. He stopped. "Mom," he said, pointing at the screen, "that's the beach. I was there." I froze. He leaned closer, brow furrowed. Why am I not in it? I closed the app immediately, too fast. They just picked a different picture, I said. He accepted that answer because he trusted me. But I didn't trust them anymore because this wasn't about photos. It was about control, about image, about deciding who counted when no one was looking. And I knew, with a certainty that settled deep in my chest, if I didn't stop this now, Evan would grow up learning that love was conditional, and belonging could be edited away. That was something I would not allow. I didn't announce anything. That was important. No dramatic messages, no family meeting, no ultimatums. I just stopped giving them access to new material. No photos sent after birthdays, no shared albums, no casual videos of Evan riding his bike or losing his teeth or laughing at something only he understood. At first, they didn't notice. They were used to me supplying memories on demand. The first comment came from my sister. "Do you have any new pictures?" she texted. "Mom wants to update the frames." I stared at the message for a long time before replying. No, nothing else, no explanation. A week later, my mom called. "We feel like you're pulling away," she said gently. "Evan's growing so fast." "Yes," I said. "He is." "Well," she continued, "we'd love to keep the family photos current." I took a breath. "That won't be happening," I said. She laughed softly, like I was being difficult about something trivial. "Don't be dramatic. We just want things to look cohesive." Cohesive. I didn't raise my voice. "If Evan can't exist in your memories as he is," I said calmly, "then you don't get new ones." Silence. Then sharper. "You're overreacting." "No," I replied. "I'm being clear." That was when the tone shifted. They stopped pretending it was accidental. My sister accused me of being controlling. My mother said I was embarrassing the family. Someone used the word ungrateful. None of them denied what they'd done, because they couldn't. The real turning point came when Evan asked again. We were sitting at the kitchen table, coloring. He held up a drawing of our family, me, him, my husband, all drawn too big, taking up most of the page. "Can I hang this at Grandma's?" he asked. Something in my chest cracked. "Yes," I said, "but we're not doing that anymore." "Why?" I met his eyes. "Because some people don't know how to keep things safe." He nodded, accepting that with the quiet wisdom kids have when you don't lie to them. That was it. That was the moment the decision became permanent. From that point on, I stopped showing up in the ways that benefited them most. No organizing gatherings, no holiday coordination, no favors quietly handled behind the scenes. I was still polite, still calm, just no longer useful. And once they realized they couldn't curate my child without me, the consequences started to arrive, not all at once, but one by one. The fallout didn't happen in a single dramatic moment. It happened in gaps. My parents noticed first when relatives started asking why Evan never seemed to age in the photos on the walls, why the frames never changed, why the calendars stayed outdated. My sister noticed when her requests went unanswered, when albums stopped updating, when the narrative she'd curated began to feel incomplete, and I noticed when the silence stopped bothering me. The confrontation finally came months later, during a family dinner we almost skipped. My mom gestured toward the hallway. "We're updating the photo wall," she said carefully. "We thought maybe you could send a few recent pictures. We'll include Evan this time." This time, I set my fork down. "No," I said. The table went quiet. "You're still holding on to that?" my sister asked. "We said we'd fix it." "You didn't fix anything," I replied calmly. "You just decided it mattered once you stopped having access." My mom's voice wavered. "We didn't think it would turn into this." "That's the problem," I said. "You didn't think about him at all." No one argued, because there was nothing left to explain. After that, things changed. Not overnight, but permanently. I stopped trying to make space where none was protected. I stopped offering my child up for approval, editing, or acceptance. Visits became shorter, boundaries clearer. Some family members drifted away, others adjusted, and the ones who mattered learned quickly that Evan existed fully, or not at all. One afternoon, months later, Evan and I put together a photo album at home. Real photos, messy ones, blurry ones, pictures where he took up too much space and laughed too loud and stood right in the middle of the frame. "Can we send this to Grandma?" he asked. I smiled. "This one stays with us." He nodded, satisfied, because he didn't need proof that he belonged anymore. My family thought photos were harmless. They thought erasing my child would keep things neat, presentable, acceptable. What they didn't understand was that memory is power, and anyone willing to erase a child from history doesn't deserve a role in shaping it. They didn't lose everything all at once. They lost it the way it mattered most: access, trust. The future they assumed would always include us. And my son? He grew up exactly where he belonged, fully seen, fully included, and never edited out again.